everybody. So I was thinking a little bit more about some of the stretches that people have been asking for, specifically getting at the hamstrings, the butt, the side of the hip, and stuff like that. So while I'm waiting for my yoga students to arrive tonight, I thought I would take this time to show you a couple of other things in addition to the video that I posted the other day. So I have a yoga strap. I don't know where my yoga strap is at home, so I use a bathrobe tie. You can use like a soft belt, or you can get a yoga strap. And the first thing that I want to sort of walk you through is just lying down on our backs. I don't know if you'll be able to see all of me. Not a professional videographer, but lying down on our backs and taking the strap around the ball of the foot. So that's this part, right? If we put it here, this would be the arch. The arch is soft tissue, so we don't want to be pulling on that at all. The ball of the foot here, this is the bone. So lying down on the back and taking the foot up into the air and making sure that it's not pronating, or the other one, turning in or turning out, but that the sole of the foot is really straight up towards the ceiling. And then you can either keep the opposite leg bent, the foot placed firmly on the floor, or for a little bit of extra work, you can take that leg long and flex the foot. So I've got both ends of the straps in either hand, and just bending the knee in towards the armpit and straightening it. Already I have a stretch going through the back here. And if it's too much to keep the leg straight, you can bend it like this, or you can keep it straight up and bend the knee a little bit. You'll get a bit more of a stretch that way. So doing that several times and then switching to place both of the ends of the strap, excuse me, in the same hand as the leg that you're working on, in my case right now the right, and taking a deep inhale here at the top, and then with the leg as straight as possible, dropping it open to the side on the exhale and inhaling it up. It doesn't really matter how far over to the side it comes. It's important that you're not rolling sort of with the leg. So maybe placing the hand on the opposite hip so that when you start to feel that hip lift, that is your max, and taking it back up. And doing this a few times, so you're stretching out the adductors, right? The muscles in the groin and the inner thigh by doing this, as well as the hamstring. And then here's the toughie, switching hands so that the strap, both ends of the strap are in the opposite hand, placing the arm out to the side and then dropping that leg across the body and back up. This dropping the leg, and by dropping I just mean like gently lowering it across the body. This is where you'll probably feel it quite intensely, right? All the way through the glute, through the back of the hip, and even the hamstring and the IT band that's on the side of the leg. So, and then of course doing that with both sides. And to release it, then bending the knee once again in and taking the strap down, drawing the leg long, stretching overhead, and then switching sides by bending the knee and taking the strap around the ball of the opposite foot and taking that foot up. So that is one really good option. That occurred to me last night when I did that with my beginner's yoga class in the studio here. And I felt that and I was like, oh, I have to tell them about this one. So that was one, excuse me. And we talked about the figure four, right? One knee, well, both knees, bent, feet on the floor, and then crossing one leg over. But you really want to flex this foot. Keep that knee protected, and then see if you can sit up straight. So you might even want to have like some blocks under your hands or something like that, but you want to try to keep the spine straight. And then the real intense work for me anyways comes when I drop that leg over. So once again, it's kind of the same thing, right? I'm getting that stretch through the side hip and the IT band. Obviously for me, that's really tight. And then switching sides, and my left hip does not open as well as my right one. That's very common. And really finding, again, that extension, keeping the foot of the bent leg flexed, and then dropping it over to the side. It's intense. It can be a lot. Bringing it back up, playing with that. So that's like a variation on Pidgin. So if you know yoga at all, you may have done Pidgin. If not, Pidgin really, really you get a lot of work in one of the hip flexors. So one of the hip flexors is extended, so that when you're getting a big stretch in the hip flexor, this is the hip flexor here. And on the other leg, you're getting a stretch through what we call the posterior hip, which basically is the back of the hip. So you're really getting it sort of the glutes, the hamstring, and that hard to get like insertion spot. So if you want to try Pidgin, hopefully you can see me here. I need a videographer. So you start from your tabletop position. So just your hands under your elbows and shoulders and your knees under your hips, and then draw the right knee behind the right wrist. I'm going to turn around so you can see the rest of it. So I'm drawing the right knee behind the right wrist, and then taking that leg out just a little bit and walking the straight leg back. And you can put a blanket or yoga blocks or a stack of blankets or whatever under your hip of your bent leg. So checking to see if that leg is straight back. And then you get more of a stretch as you bring the foot sort of towards the front, but you don't have to. That's really intense. I've been doing yoga for a long time. And then walking the hands back, like this is already a lot. And so what we don't want to have happen is we don't want you to sink into this hip. And that's why I say you can put some blankets under there. And then maybe have some yoga blocks here so you can walk your hands forward. I can come all the way down, but I didn't used to be able to. And so you really stay in Pidgin for several minutes, right? And just breathe. And on the inhale, feel that straight leg head towards the back of the room. And on the exhale, just kind of relax into especially this bent leg. So I have to do it on the other side or I'll be all uneven. But I'll show you from the side what it's like. So I'm doing Pidgin on my left side. So I'm taking my left knee behind my left wrist. And I'm going to bring my leg sort of so that my foot is headed towards the front of the mat. But again, you don't have to do that. Just slide back a little bit so you can see me better. And then I'm walking my right leg back, so I'm getting the extension in the right hip flexor. My right leg is the straight leg. So you can see here that there's a lot of space between my butt or my hip and the floor. For me, I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me, and I know how to not sink into the hip like that. I also have built up a lot of yoga strength over the years. So, but this is where I would encourage putting a blanket or stack of blankets, bolster, yoga block, something here so that you are basically holding the pelvis straight, holding it square. And then keeping the spine straight, you kind of hinge at this hip if your body will let you. Mine did not used to let me. And come forward. And then walking your hands back up, planting them on the floor, and sliding that knee back. And then maybe either bringing the knees together, show you here to the front, either bringing the knees together like this, or separating the knees but keeping the big toes near each other, sitting the hips back toward the heels, and walking the hands forward into child's pose. So you drop your head. I can't drop my head and talk to you. So drop your head and keep moving those hips toward the heels. So again, you're getting that opening in the posterior hip. You can also keep the arms active, sort of reaching the fingertips, again, your head's still on the floor, reaching the fingertips, tenting them like this to keep the arms active. And you might feel a stretch in the side body, even under the armpits. And then walking them over to one side, but pressing back that opposite hip. So then you're gonna feel maybe some extra side body stretching and maybe also some extra hip stretch. And then going over to the other side through center, and again, pressing back through that opposite hip. And coming back up, walking the hands back. And then one other thing that I notice seems to help is a twist. So you can either maybe take both legs, out in front of you, and then take one leg and cross it over and plant the foot on the floor. Flex the foot of the straight leg, and then wrap the arm around and twist in towards the leg. And you're kind of pulling this knee a little bit across the body, not too much. But since we're looking for that hip stretch, that might help. I have to do the other side now. Keeping in mind that the two sides are very different. And if your arm doesn't go over, that's not comfortable, you can take the arm underneath the knee. This might give you a little bit of better traction, but be gentle with your back, right? You're twisting, which is the natural movement of the spine, but you still want to just like go easy, ease into it. So there's that, you may feel that, it's possible. Or the one that does it better for me is lying on my back. I have my knees bent and feet on the floor, and then I'm just gonna pop my hips over to one side. So I popped my hips over to the left, and I'm more on my right hip. I'm taking my right leg straight and hooking the toes of my left foot behind the right knee. So again, my right leg is straight, my left leg stays bent, and I'm gonna slide the toes underneath and then let that come across the body. The key is really to keep both of the shoulders as much on the floor as you can. You can maybe bring a little bit of weight. I can feel this in the posterior hip. You're also gonna feel it in the back because the spine is twisting. It might be helpful for you to, oh, there it is, take the leg along. Once you've established the twist, so do it in pieces, you know? Don't just flop into it. It's a very kind of slow thing. And for that right straight leg, this one that's on the floor, keep the foot flexed. Oh boy, I got my IT band here now. Okay, and then drawing that left leg across the body. And I'm not gonna, well, I'll show you how to do it. So I'm gonna pop the hips over to the right so that I'm on my left hip. I'm straightening my left leg and hooking the toes of my right foot behind so I can twist this way and keeping both shoulders on the mat. I just don't go as far this way. That's just the spot that I'm at. So I can bring some weight here or take this leg straight, and if it doesn't go, you can always put it on blocks or on bolsters. I would really need to do that to keep it straight. And then bringing it back across the body. And bringing the legs down. So keeping in mind that when you feel some tightness and even some soreness in one area of the body, there's a very good chance that it is originating somewhere else. So just paying attention, right? Doing that sort of, that exercise with the tennis ball that I talked about the last time, you can kind of like find all the different areas that something is sore by just gently, you know, rolling around on the tennis ball. And a lot of times the place where, you know, sort of the tension starts, even if it's a muscle pull, if it's a tension, if it's a knot, if it's just stiff, a lot of times it's starting someplace else. So listening to the body,
Taking care of yourself, doing the Epsom salt baths definitely helps. Epsom salt is made out of magnesium sulfate, and magnesium is a natural muscle relaxant. So using that in the evening, which can really sort of help chill out all the muscles. And again, because something might be originating in another spot that you're not aware of, that's super helpful. And then doing any of these stretches that I've showed you, but really taking your time, right? Breathing into them, just taking your time and gradually maybe getting deeper into a stretch, because you want things to let go, but you don't want it to go like that. So just giving it the time, right? Giving it the time, giving it the breath, giving it the relaxation, and hopefully that stuff helps. If you guys want any other tips and techniques and stuff like that, please let me know what you're looking for. I have lots of them, and I would love to share stuff that's specifically going to help you. Okay, hope you guys have a great rest of your day.